today, and especially with this panel discussion, we are going to address some changes of mobility, mainly administrative stuff, but also any practical information you may need to prepare your mobility, work permits, mobility support, but also when you're going abroad with your partner, how can you get support from the institute in which you are going to work. So, thank you very much for coming and for giving a talk on this very specific topic. And before we start with this really mobility support incentives, I would like to invite Mr. Dujardin, representative of EURODOC Association, to present this a survey they made on researchers' mobility. And Antoine, the floor is yours.
Thank you. So, yeah, hi everyone. I am Antoine DUJARDIN from EURODOC. So EURODOC is an European association for PhD candidates and junior researchers. And we have a group on mobility, but over the last 2 years, it moved from international mobility to intersectoral mobility. So this talk will be a little bit different to what you will have later, in that we focus on moving from academia to the industry and back if possible. So I'll first introduce EURODOC, then the survey we made with the European Commission, and some recommendations on improving intersectoral mobility. EURODOC, that's us. We are registered as a non-profit organization. We are based in Brussels. We exist since 2002, so we are 15 years old. We regroup 32 national associations. So we don't have individual members, only associations that may have individual members or local associations and so on, all the way down. We are run 4 ECRs, so early career researchers, and by ECRs. So we have no employee, we just like us for us. We represent ECRs on different matters. We promote the doctorate to share information between our members, and we try to establish and promote cooperation between the associations. We have a bunch of topics, so just to list them: career development, employment status, interdisciplinarity, mobility, so international intersectoral, research integrity, doctoral training, equality, mental health, which is the new topic this year, open science, which was previously open access, and the quality of research. Oh, as early career researchers, you're welcome to join them if you're interested. So you can just have a look on our website, send me an email. We are eager to have you on board. A few of our stakeholders. And now the intersectoral mobility. So it's part of a survey that was made on open science, but with quite a few questions on intersectoral mobility that are eye-opening. So the survey was done by expert group Education and Skills under European Science at the European Commission, and we were involved in the creation of some of the questions, checked the questionnaire, and promoted it on the early career researchers. The survey covers quite a broad spectrum of researchers. So for the level of researchers, you have R1, R2, R3, R4. R1 corresponds to PhD candidates mostly, R2 to what's usually called postdoc. So recognized researcher when you have your PhD but you don't have a indefinite contract yet. R3 is when you have that permanent position, and R4 is when you are a professor that's leading the field. So we are quite happy to have such a broad covering, and also for the discipline, we have quite a good representation with a lot of people from natural science, social science, engineering, technology, medical. The problem is with humanities, so we are not sure why we couldn't connect with them, but yeah, they are quite missing here. We have also a good covering of the public and private in the survey. So here, a few of the results. So I would like you to focus mostly on the question, on the global opinion, on the shape of that curve, and especially on the two first lines. So when we ask the question, would you like to work or continue working as a researcher? You can see that most people strongly agree. When you ask the same question for academia, it's basically the same answer. A little bit less people, but it's very similar. When you ask the question, would like to work and continue working in the industry, the motivation is gone. So you can see that people mostly agree on working in the industry. I mean, if you have to work in industry, you want to work first and then in the academia. But you can see that the industry comes as a second choice for a lot of people. Although we know that 70% of people can't stay in academia. There's just not the place for everyone there. And people need to leave. And we would like people to leave because they want to leave and because they see opportunities in the industry and not just because they fail to stay where everyone wants to. Another interesting question is when you ask them if they want to combine industry and academia, then it's slightly better than the industry. So the problem is mostly about leaving academia. So you can't see that strong agreement in working in academia, but we are quite close. So what we consider is make sure that people can work in the industry without losing too much connection with the academia. We then asked if people think, so just like question about whether they think it's the case or not. If the PhD training prepares for an academic career, people think so. When you ask the same question for a career in the industry, well, nobody really knows. Studies have been made. Studies show that the PhD training prepares for the industry, but apparently researchers don't know it. And that may be one of the reasons why they don't really want to go in the industry, but who knows. Do they think that the PhD is attractive for industry employers? We think so. Apparently they don't really know. You don't really know. Do they think their future career options are clear? Not really. Then a few questions on career development. Do they think they are provided with good career development support via a development plan? No. Via training courses? No. Via career counseling? No. Via career mentoring? No. Via contact with employers? Yeah, that's even worse. So we believe that people have the training, people have what it takes to work in the industry, and we also believe that there are groups that are providing researchers with the development plan, with the opportunities, with the contact with employers they need. The thing is, apparently, researchers don't see them. So there may be a problem of visibility of those associations. Last quite interesting question is whether people created a company in their current position. Most people didn't and don't really want to, but quite a decent amount of people want to create a startup or a spin-off, but didn't. And really, a few people did. So there is some innovation in research. That's the main point of research. And we think that maybe helping researchers to create startup will solve some of the problem. So more generally, our recommendations are to be explicit about the success rates in academia. Maybe the reason why people want to stay in academia is that they think it's possible to stay in academia. And it is for maybe 30% of people, not for everyone. We would like everyone to offer transferable skills training for the industry. So most of the skills are already part of the PhD. We just would like to focus on specific skills that will really help, and not just only to how to find the next postdoc, and the next one, and the next one, and the next one, but maybe how to find a job in the industry. Like the universities and everyone to offer broad career development support, and more importantly, I think, make researchers aware of their competencies. Researchers have competencies that can be helpful in academia, and it's important. Bring researchers in contact with industry, offer temporary paid placements in industry, maybe it can be considered. Not everything is good to take, pay attention, but that could be an option. Offer entrepreneurship training and support, going back to the last question, and involving the alumni and create a strong network of PhD holders. So yeah, generally the take-home message is, if you really want to stay in academia, it's possible. But consider also the possibility to work in the industry. And we know that after 5 years, most PhD holders working in industry have a good position, are happy with the job, are slightly more paid on average than their peers without a PhD. But there's always that gap between the moment they leave academia, sometimes because they couldn't find the next postdoc, or they couldn't get their permanent position. And that usually 5-year period, that's maybe really difficult. And I think it's just because people are not aware of the possibilities to move in the industry. And also it would be great if it was possible to go and come back between academia and the industry in general. So thank you for listening. Here's my email. Don't hesitate to send me an email if you have any further question that wouldn't be answered later today, or you can go on the website and find a lot of information and all. I'm planning on staying for most of the day, so you can just catch me later and ask any question you may have. Thank you.
Hello. So now we are going live, huh? And this is now probably the best moment to take out your laptops, your mobile phones, and quickly Google Euraxess so that you are kind of on the same spot. I just wanted to tell you, wasn't it that in Paris was now awarded the Innovation City of Europe or something like this? So guys, you're right in the center of the innovation place. You should be proud of it and really consider also careers in the innovation sector. Now, let's come back to kind of mobility and career development of researchers. Yesterday I outlined a bit the policy part, the open transparent labor market, how to find offers, how to work on career development. Today we are doing it. I show you where you can find information and how we implement parts of this initiative. So on Euraxess, what we do is we have a huge network consisting of 40 European countries. They all work together to support your mobility experience. On the other hand, we have this online platform where you can find jobs, advice, everything you need to know about your career in advance or in preparing your next career step. Let me say that this portal is meanwhile really powerful. We had in 2017 already more than 11 million page views on the central part of the portal. If I take also in addition the national parts, probably we are on 20 or 30 million page views. So there is a need to get informed when you want to move your career. Where people always go first, and it's not a surprise, almost 80% first check out for jobs and funding opportunities. First the money, then the move. Huh? That's just the normal way to do it. So if you see here on the jobs and funding, you find a page that's called Find Jobs. When you click on it, you get a list of the latest job offers. Voila. And then you can have filters to search further. For example, for the R1 to R4, when you're more a junior researcher, it doesn't make sense really to apply for a professor job. You should kind of limit your search according to your competencies. Then we just discussed this morning, mobility has a lot to do with love and other private issues. So many people want to move to another country because of the partner, the spouse. You can also filter according to the country. You can have a look here. It is sector, it is country, or European research programs. And this is something quite important. When you click on this, you find, for example, the Marie Skłodowska-Curie funded projects. And then you have a look, filter according. And all those projects under Marie Curie, they publish their vacancies for projects on the Euraxess portal, and you can apply. Now, you ask me how to apply, what to do. First of all, you need to check a job offer. You read it, and then you find a button how to apply, where to apply. Whatever happens then between the institution and the applicant is outside of our European Commission kind of mandate. We would never ever interfere a recruitment process. This is between you and the employer. So have a look at it, read through it, check it out, send your documents, be positive, be accurate, and then we wish you all the best and good luck. On the other hand, what can you do as a researcher to become kind of employable on this huge job market? We have, on the other hand, a database for researchers' CVs on the portal. You can register your CV completely free of charge. There are more than 40,000 CVs. In doing so, an employer can search for your profile. And it could always be that they search for something very specific, and exactly you are the one who has all those kind of benefits, and they may contact you. The level of transparency is up to you when you create your profile. This is 100% up to you. What we do from the Commission side is, when it comes then to every now and then to updates, we send you, it's an automated email, we send you an automated email and say, listen, your CV, would you like to update this, or is it still valid? If you feel you have found the job of your lifetime and you will never ever move again, you can also delete your profile, basta, case closed. If you believe that your career is not done yet, you update your profile, because this is the most important part. When you want to be employable in the sector, your CV has to be accurate and good. So we recommend that you have a look at it all the time, and we support you in this. Let's think about, for an instant, on the institutions that you wish to apply for. I couldn't see right now, but perhaps we find one. You know the Charter and the Code you have heard about? It is this one document that the Commission has worked out in cooperation, here, with the European member states. It's a document. You can read it, you can sign up to it, and then you can forget it. This is one way to do it, but not the way it should be. Of course, when it is about then the implementation of these principles, these 40 principles in the Charter and the Code, it is it's a tough job. And we have created together with the member states, again, a system, a process where institutions can apply for this mini logo. You can see it over there. It is the HR Excellence in Research. I told you, it is not easy for institutions to get it, but let's say it's a quality mark. And from you as a researcher or someone looking for a job, it could be one of those decisive things to look at it from an institutional side. Those who have the logo, those institutions, they will take care of your career development. They will take care of everything you are and what you do as a researcher. In this respect, it makes sense to watch out for it, because it is the Nespresso club of all the research institutions. It is the club that makes sure that the career development is there. Have a look when you start your application, may be important for you. Okay, this was the institutional side. What else do we do under this portal? And there's a lot to be detected. I know, by instance, that people basically don't apply for jobs on weekends. Can you tell me why? This would be the best moment that you have time. You can read through the job adverts, but we have seen that basically people do it on Mondays and Tuesdays during working hours. Interesting, isn't it? And through their office computers, not on their laptops. So have a look at it when you're in the metro. I've seen the metros are quite full, but you always find a way. Check out the next job. I told you we are working together with 40 member countries. When it comes to a mobility experience, the hardest part is to move from country A to country B. When it is international mobility, it becomes even harder, because then you need to apply for the different documents, the visa. Then we will hear a bit later about how it is to have the diplomas and everything recognized. Not such an easy task. What we have done in cooperation with those 40 member countries that I mentioned, we have created a network. And all the countries, the European countries, 40, not only the member states, as you can see, but also those who are associated to the European funding programs, they are part of it. And they have created their own pages where they support your mobility. And this is 100% set up and fed by the member countries, because I don't know exactly what's going on in 40 European countries. They know. So if you now found the job of your lifetime, have a look at the different pages, read through the documents, and find out what to do next, or get in contact with a center. The support is free of charge. You need not pay for it. They will give you the information you need to have a quicker move to the next country. You can have a look at all of them in peace and quietness. It is quite interesting what they offer as information. And we know from the statistics we do, everyone has to do a bit of statistics. The basic problems are, first of all, finding accommodation is normal. If you wish to go to another country, first thing you need to get is finding accommodation. But this is followed then by things like social security, if and how to pay the taxes, then the kids, if there are around, how to have everything in place for the spouse. We are working more and more on the dual careers, not to forget, if you have a partner, you're not going to leave him behind, her behind. You also wish to take the person with you, and the other person should also have the opportunity for a career in the new country, in the new place. Okay, this was now a bit of Europe. I quickly take you outside Europe for a second. We are working, or we have set up also a network outside Europe. Have a look. Some of you may wish to think about the next career step somewhere to the east or to the west. It is up to you. We have set up this network of representatives outside Europe in Washington, taking care of the US and Canada, Brazil taking care of the whole South American area, and then we are present in Japan, China, India, and the ASEAN region, where we have people in Thailand and in Singapore. Sounds exciting, huh? These are economies that are really emerging and where lots of research opportunities are in place. It goes without saying that research is international. So if you wish to go abroad, if you wish to start your career or be for a while outside, get in touch with our people in the different countries, in the different places. Sorry, my voice. They will keep you connected to European research. They will invite you for networking events, and they will give you all the information you need. Quite important for you, research is not only taking place in Europe, it is everywhere. Last but not least, let me show you quickly what else we do. We have set up a funding database for you, and we have set up a section that is called partnering, that is relatively new. Under partnering, you could find on a longer term your partners for startups, for a new company. It is up to you to register and to make it available. We have set up a section that is called Science for Refugees. We know that we have still a refugee challenge in Europe. If you wish to mentor a refugee, there is a way to sign up under this chapter. You simply click at it. We have a kind of a buddy system, an automated way to find partners and above kind of agreement of both sides, they can link. We have more than 30 online couples, no matter where they are, and they get their mentoring done. We have a lot of training already available as MOOCs on the portal. We are looking for more. And all this is basically free of charge. So sign up for it, have a look, create your account on the Euraxess portal. It is worth it. If you work in an institution, have a look. We are always open to set up kind of job import, or please put your funding opportunities on the portal. It has to do with the open labor market. It has to do with transparency. And this is what everyone is looking for. If you want to apply for a job, you want to have the same opportunities than anyone else applying for it. So our portal and our work with the member states is a way to create this open labor market for researchers. Voila, in a very short nutshell, and there was one element that I wanted to tell you. It is brand new as of last week. You know that under the Marie Skłodowska-Curie funding, basically around 10% of the researchers get financed. And then there's a huge group of, I don't know how many percent, who had an excellent proposal, but due to budget restrictions, they cannot be financed. But they are still excellent. So what we have done, they get awarded the Seal of Excellence from the Commission, but what we have done is those people can now, as of last week, upload this Seal of Excellence to their CV. And this is, again, a benefit for your kind of employability. If an employer sees then you got the Seal of Excellence, the employer may think, wow, this guy, this girl has already done something outstanding, and this is a benefit for offering a job and employment to him, her. Have a look at it. We have started last week, so there are not many Seal of Excellence right there. If you were awarded a Marie Curie, it's now the time to make it visible to the outside world. Voila, this was the quick version of Euraxess. It would take much more time to go into details, but you can find out online. We are there all the week. And if you have questions, we have functional mailboxes where me or my colleague is behind us, and we can answer all the questions you may have. If you have questions right now, please don't hesitate. Thank you.
Good morning. Today I'm here as a director in board of directors of RESAVER Consortium. And I will talk you about RESAVER. To talk about RESAVER is important to understand what is the European Union pension landscape. Because we are talking about a pension, RESAVER was mentioned and also on Euraxess slides. And it's a goal of the European Commission to create a pan-European and multi-employer pension fund that will help the mobility of researchers. So, in Europe, we have a first pillar that is the state pension, the second pillar that is a supplementary pension financed by employer and employee through contributions paid by employer and by employee. And then the third pillar, that is a private pension plan. It means when you choose an insurance and you pay your contribution for a private pension. But why a pension fund in the second or the third pillar for young people, in particular in Europe? Because when you will be retired, it could be fine to have another pension that increases the pension, the state pension, and that will guarantee you the same welfare that you had during your working life. Joining a supplementary pension fund means to use your savings during your work life to get a pension. And it's a pension that is added to the state pension, as I said before. So, because your contributions, plus employer contributions, and plus the investment returns that are coming from your contributions, will get your supplementary pensions. And joining a supplementary pension fund since the beginning of your career means to increase the amount of your supplementary pension funds, because first you start the supplementary pension fund, and higher is will be your supplementary pension. But there are a lot of difficulties today in Europe between mobility and pensions, because now we haven't a pension fund for the second pillar that guarantees the continuity of your contribution in the fund when you move from a country to another country. So mobility of researcher is a goal of European Commission, because mobile researchers risk losing their pension, their supplementary pensions when moving from a country to another. And so it could be inadequate pensions in future for researchers. And this means that working for researchers in the researcher field could be unattractive if we don't work about these difficulties. We will have less international collaborations, the fragmentation of the labor market in Europe. So it's a big problem. And why RESAVER? RESAVER could help us to avoid these difficulties, to resolve the problem. Because he is a pension fund that travels with you wherever you go, because it guarantees the continuity. And so it could be a good pension fund for employees, for researchers, but also it could guarantee the attractivity of organizations that will join the fund. This fund is supported by European Commission. Our work started some years ago. The fund is open running from January 2017, so some months ago. It's a multi-country, multi-employer, and is domiciled in Belgium. It's a pension plan with a defined contribution. It means that it matches with almost all pension systems in Europe. Enable employees to remain affiliated to the same pension fund when moving countries. And it is efficient, the costs are efficient due to the economies of scales. RESAVER is a particular composition because, first of all, we incorporate the RESAVER Consortium. That is a non-profit organization located in Belgium. It was founded in 2014. and RESAVER Consortium designed all RESAVER pension fund, organized the public tender to find the providers, and approve all members that want to join the pension fund. As that before, was the pension fund was launched in 2016 in Belgium. It is open running in Hungary, but it was approved also in Belgium and in Italy. So research institutions that want to join RESAVER in Italy and in Belgium can do it. And now, and we have a tender in next January, we are finding a provider for the third pillar insurance. Who can participate in RESAVER? All researchers with employment contracts, all researchers coming from outside the European Economic Area, into the economic area, and employees other than the researchers who work in the same organization of the researchers. And not only university or research institutions, also private companies that have a research and development sector. In this case, they could join RESAVER. The RESAVER management, as I said before, we have a research institution, public and private sector. They have to join the RESAVER consortium, and only after this joining, they could join the pension fund, or their employees could join the RESAVER insurance. So we have this chain. RESAVER consortium, the employer, because this is only the institution that can do that. The employer joined the RESAVER consortium. RESAVER consortium approve is joining. The employer joins the RESAVER pension fund, and after that, employees can join the pension fund. In case of RESAVER insurance, it's the same. The employer join RESAVER consortium, and after that, employees can join the RESAVER insurance for third pillar. Advantages, as I said before, the continuity of pension benefit, no wasting or waiting periods between a pension fund and another pension fund when you move, lower costs through economies of scales, multiple high quality of investment choice. You will have a single point of contact as a member service center with automatic tracking of contribution, and a pan-European risk pooling solution covering death benefits. It's important for me that you know that the providers of RESAVER pension fund are the very good providers, very famous all over the world. For the member service center, we have a Previnet that is one of the most important companies, Italian companies that manage the administration of pension fund. We have BlackRock as investment lines, so it's the provider that follows your investments and your income. And thanks to that, to those providers, RESAVER offers a range of investment that are very interesting. We have the possibility of the lifestyle, the freestyle, and the freestyle advanced. It's recommended that at the beginning of your working life, you will choose for investment that have a high risk and high rendement. The opposite at the end of your career. And RESAVER suggested the lifestyle that is the investment lines adequate for researchers, and it's the best when you join the fund at the beginning of your work life. These are some considerations about the investment line indicated before. But other investment solution can be established for local requirements, as in Italy. In Italy, there is a particular rules for TFR, and RESAVER is in compliance with these rules. So, how to join? First step, your institution has to request to joining RESAVER consortium, and second step, you could be membership of the pension fund. Approval of a General Assembly. Oops. And these are our conclusions. It's a great goal to for European Commission, and also for us that working with them to design this pension fund that is the only in Europe with these qualities and conditions. Oops. For more information, you can visit the RESAVER website, or if you want, I am my exhibition point, and I have some brochure for other information. And I thank you for your participation. And I thanks also Berenice for inviting me at this conference. Thank you.
So, good morning, everybody. Let's try again. Good morning, everybody. The reason for why I'm saying good morning, everybody, is because, you know, sometimes our bodies can be here, but our minds are very far away. So, good morning to all of you. I'm Mary. I'm from the University of Copenhagen. I have 15 minutes to talk about dual career services. So, guys, mobility is also about love. This is what Kit is also talking about. If you have a partner, what is there for me and what is there for my partner? Because we often tend to have 100% focus on the international that is going to be employed. But what about the spouse? What about the partner? This is the stuff I'm going to talk about, because at the University of Copenhagen, we have developed dual career services. So, why dual career services? The importance of helping mobile partners in their career transition and finding a job. We have a lot of data, statistics around what is the main barrier when it comes to mobility. About 4 years ago, we took part in the Tandem project, which was funded by the European Commission. One of the main barriers was, if my partner is not happy, cannot settle down, cannot transition, there's a big chance that we will leave the country. So what we have done at the University of Copenhagen from the highest level is that we have decided we need to address this, and how can we do that? A bit about the University of Copenhagen. Is there anyone from the US here? United States? Is there anyone? Nobody dare share. Well, anyway, the university was founded in 1479, so actually the university is older than the US. We have about 40,000 students, over 9,000 employees. including 5,000 scientists. Out of the 5,000, it's about 2,500 that are internationals. We have about 9 Nobel Prize winners, and we rank number 6 in Europe, which is really, really good. In terms of nationalities, here is the top 7, I think, and you can see German is number 1 represented. And then we have France as number 6 or 7. So the reason for why I'm showing you these numbers is also to let you know that you're most welcome to, just look at the University of Copenhagen and see if there are some, areas you're interested in, because we have quite a few positions available on our website. So in the organization, where am I placed? I'm in international staff mobility. This is where I am. I work together with 12 other colleagues, and what we do is we are the support unit, the international support unit in terms of international hiring. And here you can see we have, how does this work? Here you have all the different faculties and departments. And if you're thinking, is it us who do the formal hiring? It isn't. It's actually the departments. But in terms of advising around tax, children's care, kindergarten, all of these things, dual career services, this is what we do for internationals. Dual career services. Well, the dual career services is targeted PhD, postdocs, professors. Our services is not for masters, but for this target group. We have about plus 500 spouses in our dual career spouse network. And if you're thinking, who are these spouses? We have quite a few who have an academic profile, but we also have others who do not have an academic profile, who are engineers, who are, from the creative area. We have quite a few architects and so forth. I conduct around 100 to 150 individual job coaching sessions per year. And if you're thinking, who am I and what is my background? Well, I've been working as a career consultant for the past 8 years. I've specialized in career development and talent management. 4 of the years I've been working at the University of Copenhagen. Volume-wise, I've coached more than 5,000 individuals. So I think one of the most common questions I get from people is, Mary, do you have a job for me? And the first thing I say, I don't have a job for you. Then they look at me, then they say, so what can you do for me? Then I say, well, I have a large network. I know quite a lot about the Danish labor market. And career-wise, I've been also working in the private sector. Before I was working as a communication and marketing specialist in an engineering company, writing very sexy stories about offshore and gas systems. So I decided that was a bit boring, and that's why I started doing something around career development and coaching. Where do our spouses come from? From this slide you can see, well, it's global. We have all nationalities, we have all profiles. Facts and numbers. This is a survey we did last year. We were actually surprised to see that there were so many males, which we really like. But the percentage is 65 for female. And if we look at the countries, China is top 1, and then Germany, India, Spain, and the US. So, the Dual Career Spouse Network. This is the services we provide for spouses. We provide these services before arrival, on arrival, and the reason for why I'm saying before arrival is because when we have an international hiring, Maybe they're considering to come to Denmark, but maybe they also have other options. Maybe Oxford, maybe Cambridge. Well, what I do is I do quite a few Skype coaching where I talk with the international spouse and try to hear, how can I help you? And then I get to look at their CV and so forth. All of our services, they have some sort of job focus. These are areas within career counseling, and I think you who are working as career consultants too, I think a lot of these themes are some of the themes you also, guide, people around. I roll up my sleeves a lot in terms of looking at people's CVs. I look at CVs not just once, twice, many, many times, and I'm used to looking at an academic CV which is maybe 5, 10, even 15 pages long, because that's possible in Denmark, and then making it shorter to 2, 3 pages if it's targeting industry. Denmark loves LinkedIn. And this is something, if you're coming to Denmark, you need to know. And how to brand yourself, and what to highlight and what not to highlight. In Denmark, networking is also a big thing, like here in France. It's said about 60 to 70% of positions are never listed. So I meet job candidates who have used 99% of their time looking at jobs that are listed. And then I say to them, that is not a very smart strategy. I recommend you to have like an 80% focus on networking and 20% on jobs which are listed. So the whole thing around networking is really important to, coach around. My colleague Mark De Vos, he is a specialist expert around Danish working culture. So if you're going for the job interview, what should you be aware of? Which funny questions can the Danes ask? And so forth. So these are the typical questions I get. Do you have a job for me? Plenty of practical questions. I have a dog. Where is the best park for the dog to, walk about? So this is just to give you an idea of what is it I do. This is a slide I often show international spouses, partners I'm coaching. Does anybody know the cultural shock model? Can I just, no. Well, this is a very interesting model to show. It's here you have happiness. Happiness can be plus, that's good. It can also be minus, that's when you're discontent. And here you have time, months. And this guy here, he did a big survey where he tried to find out what is it that happens with you when you move to a foreign country. There will be a honeymoon phase where everything is amazing. You love the country, you love the food, you love everything. But then the weather changes. You come from maybe somewhere where it's better in terms of weather. Then you start experiencing the cultural shock. Why are the Danes not smiling? When I go for the job interview, why is everyone like this? And then, in terms of adjustment, you start realizing, oh, the Danes are not evil, they're not bad. They are just maybe a bit introvert, they're just checking me out. Then you start adjusting, and then you have the adaptation phase. I find this model very interesting because it makes people's shoulders just go a bit down. And the reason for why this is green down here is because a lot of the work I do is where people are in minus, they have no energy. So what I try to do is create energy around their job search. So, what do our spouses say about our services? We get really good ratings. We have candidates who come to Denmark, they say, I want to have exactly the same job as I had in India as a bank clerk or whatever. Then I say, well, have you tried to consider plan B and so forth? So in terms of our services, we get really good ratings, and this is something we have shown management. And we get a lot of support in terms of our dual career services. These are our networks. We have spouse lunches, which have career focus. A lot of our internationals, they have kids. So we have kids event, we have a job cafe, and then we have something called the International Dual Career Network. This is actually really interesting because what we started doing was we started talking with companies, because a lot of companies, life science companies, bioscience companies, they also have spouses. And then we started talking about how can we help these spouses. So my colleague Mark and I, we created the IDCN Copenhagen chapter about 2 years ago. And the interesting thing about IDCN, it's a global non-profit organization. You can always read more about it, but the whole purpose around the IDCN is to create events and then open your doors. And then through events, the spouses can get to meet corporates. So this is just an overview of the 18 corporate members we have. Yesterday, you got the pleasure to hear and talk with Novo Nordisk, you know Carlsberg. So this is just to give you an idea. Well, if we're talking to people and maybe want to pursue a career in industry, we can say, well, we have a network, and this is, you know, something we actually use in terms of attracting and retaining. We have about 31 IDCN success stories. These are just numbers to highlight, you know, how many have masters, PhDs. We have an average of 2.2 who are getting jobs through the IDCN, which is a great number. So this is just to showcase which events have been there. Maersk, the big container company, they held a great event. About a month ago, we had an event at the university which was about pursuing a career in academia and so forth. So this is all I had to show you. And if you have any questions, anything, please feel free to reach out to me. Bye-bye and welcome.
So my name is Alexandre FABY. I'm working for the French Ministry of Higher Education. I don't know if some of you know about what does mean ENIC-NARIC, but we will talk a little bit about that. It deals with the recognition of foreign diplomas, and we are everywhere in France, all around Europe, everywhere. So we have little points in each country. First of all, I will talk a little bit about what does mean ENIC-NARIC and its structure. And after, I will explain to you the recognition procedures to obtain a comparability statement in France. But I will also talk a little bit, if we have time, I don't know if we still have time, about the project where the center is involved. So, the French Department for the Recognition of Foreign Qualification, of course, does the recognition of foreign qualification. We issue a statement of comparability. You have to know that we don't speak about equivalences, but comparability. Your master, your PhD can be compared in the French system of higher education with this diploma. It's not equivalence, it's comparability. The juridical terms are really important. It's not the same reality. But we also inform about the French qualification to the foreign ministries of higher education, for example. They receive a French PhD. They want to know what does it mean, which are the learning outcomes, for example, and we inform the foreign stakeholder abroad about our system. And we also inform people, private people, but also ministries, about the exercise of regulated profession in France. For example, you have a degree on medical and paramedical studies. You know that it is quite hard to work with this kind of diploma because it deals with regulated professions. So we give advice to people, to private people, about what they can do with their degree in France, where to send their diplomas, all of questions like that. Of course, the main goal is to promote the international academic and professional mobility by improving the transparency of foreign credential. If I am an employer, I receive, I don't know, Russian degree or I don't know, Polish degree, I would like to have more detail, more information about that. So this comparability statement give all the information of that. I will show you an example, a sample after. Of course, it's not a big department. We are 21 people of 13 nationalities. So it is a great trend because we are able to expertise the diplomas, the degrees, the transcripts without translation. For example, Arabic language, we are able to expertise English, German, Chinese, Russian, all this kind of languages without translation. People work with a geographical specialization. For example, Arabic speakers, they expertise only Arabic diplomas, of course. We receive a lot of diplomas from Syria, now Afghanistan, so it's quite hard. Everything is online because last year, in 2016, we have received more than 23,000 requests, and we issued 23,000 comparability statements. So can you just imagine if you receive all this information by the post, it's just not impossible. And 37,000 of the requests come from North Africa, Arabic-speaking countries. So you can see on about the top 10, we also receive European diploma degrees. For example, Spanish from Belgium, Italy, but also Russia. We receive a lot of PhDs from Russia, for example, because I'm working with Russia. And people want to know what they can do with this kind of diploma. Of course, they can present their PhD directly to an institution or an employer, but it is like an help to obtain a comparability statement for their request. People used to proceed to a recognition, of course, for academic purposes. They want to pursue higher education in France, for example. But as you obviously know, the higher education institutions are autonomous. So they can accept your file or they can say no. So it's not compulsory to obtain a comparability statement. It's an help for you, but the last word, it will be from the institution or the employer. Sometimes some institution can ask, can ask to people to present comparability statement which showed all the details about the diploma. Of course, you have academic purposes, but also professional purposes. People who want to pursue higher education in France, and people who want to work directly with their, I don't know, master, PhD, license, but also professional diplomas. And we orient all the people about what they want to do with their specialty. For example, if they have specialty in nanoscience, in astrophysics, they want to create a firm, an enterprise. Sometimes it's possible, sometimes it's not possible because it is talking about regulated professions. For example, in medical and paramedical studies. In order to evaluate the diplomas, we have 10 criteria, which are this one. The most important, of course, are the two on the top, eligibility criteria. Is a diploma is recognized by the awarding country, and is the institution is also recognized, have obtained an accreditation from the Ministry of Research. It is obvious that these two criteria have to be, we have to take care about these two criteria. Of course, you have also other criteria, for example, the official length of studies, the admission requirement, for example, and if there is bilateral agreement between France and this country, and of course the professional and academic right. For example, if you have a PhD, I don't know, for research or PhD professional, you have some countries like that. So, okay. And of course, it is a great help when there is a quality assurance in the country regarding the evaluation of the diploma. So everything is online. Okay, I will quicker. Everything is a procedure online. If you have any question, I will send you by email after. People gave their diploma online in a PDF format. They can receive their attestation, their statement online also. So there is no more paper, and it is like that. So you have two parts. Attestation de comparabilité in French, it means statement of comparability. So you have the name of the diploma. For example, here you have a Bachelor of Arts honors, which have been awarded by the University of Gloucestershire in UK. You have all the detail of the official length of studies, but also which are the rights for the holder of the diploma after the academic and professional rights. You have the results of the expertise, the French level, but also the European level. So people with this comparability statement can show all around Europe, the European area of higher education, this statement, and it will be understood for everybody. So you have on the other part, of course, what does it mean? For example, the level 2, and for the European level, it is 6, and you have all the details on the other part. The French ENIC-NARIC Center is also involved in some projects, for example, how to implement, how to develop the recognition of refugees or displaced persons. We receive a lot of diplomas from Syria, Iraq a little bit, Africa, but not only, all the areas are concerned. we are creating a center in Latin America, in some countries of Latin America. It is a European project, of course. All around the Mediterranean Sea, we are creating a center for recognition and good practice. So we don't do only the recognition of foreign diplomats. We also deal with projects, professions. So it can be interesting to take aware about that. So is it okay? It was a bit quicker, but if you have any question after, I can reply to your request. Thank you.
So that's your time to ask, questions for our speakers. Who will be the first?
Thank you for that really interesting session. I learned a lot, and I have a question for Katrin, for Katrin FEHRINGER. So I'm very interested in the work that Euraxess are doing, and I'm wondering what's the actual reality? I mean, do you have any information about the tracking of the employers, looking at the CVs of the researchers? I just wondered if there's any more detailed information that you have.
This is impossible. I said we leave kind of the recruitment side between the employer and the applicant. So we cannot track this, and in any case, people who come through the online version or those who send letters or pigeons or whatever, you could never ever track this down. We know just by success stories or by storytelling that the employers are quite satisfied with the CVs they receive, but I cannot tell you more about kind of the source from where they come or from where they got the information. Do not forget we have a lot of collaborations with other job platforms like Academic Transfer in the Netherlands or Galaxy here in France. There are many, so you could never ever be sure what is kind of the source of the information.
Morning. Good morning. Thank you for your very nice presentation. I would like to make one question to Mary KOBIA. I would like to know if your service corresponds to the employees of University of Copenhagen, about the adaptation and about the employees and the partners of the employees of University of Copenhagen, or correspond to the other employees in the other sector in Copenhagen. Thank you.
The services, can everybody hear me? Is it on?
The service, yeah.
The services we provide are for employees at the university, PhD, postdoc, and up. So if you're a master's student, this is not included, unfortunately. But what we can see in terms of the spouses, the partners, some of them, they're also doing like dual career in academia. So we actually advise around, you know, the CV, the cover letter, and they get a job as a postdoc, PhD, whatever the university. And then they tell about this experience. Oh, I was attending this workshop, So could you do the same workshop for some of our colleagues? So this is also something we're doing a lot of. And we've just got funding also for a reflex program funded by the European Commission. This is very much related to career development for other employees at the university. So I hope this answers your question.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No more question?
Hello, good morning. Thank you very much. It's good. Thank you very much for this nice and interesting presentation. I have a question for Alexandre FABY about recognition of Erasmus Mundus diplomas in France. For example, I will give exact case. Okay. I have a question about recognition of Erasmus Mundus diploma in France. I will give exact situation. For example, we have 5 universities, all are from Europe. One of them is from France. The curriculum was prepared by French university, but the mobilities were done in other European countries. So this study is recognized in France, and how it is recognized, and if this diploma needs additional recognition. Thank you.
Can you hear? On the lips. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you for your question. Of course, I didn't have enough time to talk about that. If your question is really significative of European degrees, if one degree is recognized by the French Ministry of Education, it's not, it's useless to do this procedure because it is a joint degree. You are talking about that? Joint degree?
Yes, I aware about that, but maybe you are also aware that the first Erasmus Mundus, which were starting like in 2007 already,
yes.
They had a lot of problems on ministry level with recognitions. So, for example, I am one of those cases that I have. One of the universities was in Reims. Other universities, for example, I had in Spain and in Norway, but the curricula was prepared here. And now my question is, and diploma was given by Spanish ministry. So my question now is here, is recognized this diploma automatically in France? Theoretically, yes, but practically?
It was in 2007, yes?
It started in 2008.
Okay, because the ENIC-NARIC centers among European countries have been created, implemented in this year. So maybe it was not recognized at this time, but if it have been awarded by the Spanish Ministry of Education, there is no problem. Of course, the employers are totally independent here, and the university also, Grandes Écoles also. So if you one day present to an institution, an employer, your diploma, your comparability statement from ENIC-NARIC. ENIC-NARIC, it means République Française. But if you show that they have their own pedagogical commission as they can decide, they have the last word.
Yes, but what I don't understand, if all diplomas since, let's say, 2005 or more were issued with a European supplement, okay, yes. And it's supposed to give automatic recognition to everyone. Doesn't matter if it's working, if it's studying just in one country or in many countries in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
So why my diploma, which is supposed to be very elitarian diploma like Erasmus Mundus, needs additional recognition? This is what I don't catch. What is happening?
Because sometimes you have employers or higher education institutions, they don't know what is your diploma. So they need like an addendum. It's not compulsory, of course, because if you send your diploma to an institution, maybe it will be okay, but with some other, you will have problem because they won't understand what is the curricula. Even you present diploma supplement and old information. Mm-hmm. But in this case, I don't know, because this is the first time I'm hearing about that. Maybe you can send me an email, I will see.
I will, thank you.
It's quite strange, because if you have all the information, the DS, the diploma supplement, all the information, Europass, and all these tools, principle, there is no problem.
Okay,
I don't,
thank you very much.
I don't know why.
Yeah.
Maybe it is the institution.
Okay, thank you.
Mm.
And I have a second question. It's related to HR mark for the institution as a quality of recognition of research. What are the required? Yeah.
It is not about research. It is about the human resources strategy.
Okay.
It's not the research as such. Okay.
Oh yes. Thank you very much for this clarification. So, what are the requirements for the institution to get this mark?
Okay. It is. Let's say it's a permanent process. The institution has to start to launch the process in sending a letter first to the Commission. Then there is a 12-month period where they can go through a gap analysis, create an action plan, discuss with stakeholders such as students or internal kind of staff consortia. And then they send back the documentation to the Commission. External evaluators will assess the documentation and decide if there are some changes needed, or if this award, this mini logo thingy, can be given to the institution. If there are sort of amendments to be done, it goes back to the, it's a bit lengthy, huh? It goes back to the institution with some recommendation, and then they can resubmit. If the award is given immediately, this award should be displayed on the website of the institution and on all the documentation, and it is automatically then linked to all the jobs published on the Euraxess portal to the institutional side. Then there is another period of, I think, 36 months, and then it comes to a reassessment of the institution, leading then at the very end to an external assessment after a certain period of time, and then it starts kind of again. So it is a recurrent process of activities that need to be done. I mean, it is not an easy process, but it is for the institution also kind of something where you invest in your strategy for human resources. And in this respect, the institutions who did it, they are quite satisfied that they are now at a level where they can really prove that they are working in this respect. Mm-hmm. So it's not the research, it is really the human resources strategy.
Yeah, I understood. And what is the cost for the institution?
No, I mean, as such, the cost lies in the institution, that you have to invest time. Mm-hmm. But it's not, there's no kind of, it's not that you pay a fee for it, but it is the time that needs to be invested.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Maybe a last question regarding the recognition of foreign degrees, because we are lucky to have in this panel discussion a representative of research institute, and especially she's involved in human resource department. So Lina, how do you deal with foreign degrees when you receive applicants, international applicants? How do you deal with European degrees and degrees coming from international universities?
for my institution, when we receive an application from abroad, as he said before, we consider the comparison with the Italian studies, and in case of not European citizens, we need the declaration of value from the ambassades to have the visa, and it's requested from visa requirements. And in this case, we are sure that the candidates has the right studies for us, because somewhere, in particular in not European countries, there are some differences between European legislation. So we consider our comparison or the ambassade declaration of value.
So, if there is no question anymore, I suggest we do a break right now. So coffee and tea is waiting for you in the other side of the room, and we start again at 11:40. And thank you, of course, for all the speakers who did a great presentation. Thank you very much.